The sun rises over the dust of antiquity. The year is 334 BC. From the rocky highlands of Macedon, a young king marches east with ambition burning in his eyes. His name is Alexander. At just 20 years old, he has inherited the throne of Macedon and dreams of conquering the greatest empire the world has ever known, the vast dominion of Persia. In our history, Alexander relied on discipline, courage, and the tight phalanx formation of his infantry. Spears, shields, and cavalry charges carried him from victory to victory. But in this scenario, the past is transformed. Imagine Alexander's army equipped not with spears and swords, but with the thunder of modern armored warfare. Imagine the phalanx replaced by the steel beasts of the 20th and 21st centuries, modern tanks. This is not just a change of weapons. It is the rewriting of history itself. To understand what this means, we must first grasp the sheer difference in power. A Macedonian soldier of Alexander's time carried a sarissa, a spear up to 18 feet long. Their armor was bronze or iron, their shields heavy wood. Their strongest weapon was unity, the ability to lock together in disciplined ranks. Against them stood the Persian army, vast in number, drawn from every corner of the empire. Cavalry, archers, and war chariots were their strength. But now, add modern tanks to Alexander's command. A main battle tank like the M1 Abrams or the Leopard 2 weighs over 60 tons. It is armored with advanced composite plating, capable of resisting rockets and shells. Its cannon can fire armor-piercing rounds at more than a mile per second. Its machine guns spit fire faster than an entire company of archers could loose arrows. These machines can cross deserts, climb slopes, and smash through fortifications that would take ancient armies months to reduce. Picture Alexander on the plains of Issus. Historically, he faced a Persian army numbering perhaps 100,000. His own forces were outnumbered nearly 2 to 1. The battle hinged on terrain, discipline, and a daring cavalry charge. But in our alternate timeline, Alexander does not rely on horses. His armored columns roll forward, engines roaring, treads crushing the earth. The Persians unleash their archers, thousands of arrows darkening the sky. Against Macedonian hoplites, such volleys could be deadly, but against tanks, the arrows strike harmlessly, bouncing off steel. Chariots wheel forward, horses straining, but they are shattered instantly by cannon fire. Entire squadrons of cavalry are broken before they can even close the distance. The battlefield becomes one-sided slaughter. Tanks advance methodically, their guns tearing open ranks of infantry. Alexander rides not a horse, but perhaps an armored command vehicle, directing his phalanx of steel. His ancient soldiers march behind in awe, their spears suddenly ceremonial as machines fight in their place. Issus becomes not a battle, but an annihilation. The Persian king, Darius III, flees in terror, his army in ruins. Historically, Alexander won here through brilliant tactics. With tanks, he wins through overwhelming firepower. But let us not stop at Issus. Consider Tyre, the island fortress that resisted Alexander for months. In history, he built a massive causeway, dragging stones into the sea to connect land to island. His men suffered terrible losses from Tyrian defenses. With tanks, the story is rewritten. Heavy guns pound the city walls from afar. No need for a causeway, no need for siege towers. Tyre falls in days, not months. And what of Egypt? In history, Alexander was welcomed as a liberator, founding the city of Alexandria. With tanks at his side, he does not simply walk into Egypt, he dominates it without resistance. Even the greatest fortresses crumble before mechanized artillery. Now we reach Gaugamela, the defining battle of Alexander's campaign. In reality, the Persians prepared an open plain for their chariots and cavalry. They outnumbered Alexander massively, perhaps 200,000 to his 40,000. Yet Alexander won through daring maneuver and the discipline of his phalanx. In this alternate world, tanks roll across the plain. The Persians bring scythed chariots, sharpened blades spinning from their wheels. In reality, Alexander's men opened their ranks to let them pass. Here, Tanks simply crush them beneath their treads. Cavalry charges disintegrate under automatic fire. Darius's elite guard is obliterated by high explosive shells. What was once a legendary contest becomes a massacre. To face machines that roar with fire and cannot be pierced by sword or spear would be to face living legends of destruction. Panic would spread like wildfire. Armies would collapse before a shot was even fired. But what happens after the battles? This is where the scenario grows even more complex. Tanks are not just weapons. They are machines that require fuel, maintenance, spare parts. Alexander's world had no refineries, no supply chains of petroleum, no factories to produce ammunition. He might conquer swiftly at first, but as months pass, the limits of logistics would appear. Could his empire sustain an armored core, or would he burn through his arsenal, left with silent machines stranded in deserts and mountains? If his tanks remain operational, Alexander's empire would spread faster than ever before. Persia would collapse completely. India, which resisted him at the Hydaspes River, would fall in terror at the sight of unstoppable armored columns. Even the mighty elephants of King Porus would be slaughtered in moments. Rome, still a growing power in Italy, would be no match. Carthage, the Phoenician colony across the sea, would burn before it could ever challenge the Mediterranean. Alexander might truly become ruler not just of the known world, but of a world unified centuries before Rome rose to greatness. Yet the empire he built in reality fractured soon after his death. With tanks, would this change? Perhaps his conquest would last longer, his dynasty more secure. Or perhaps the opposite. His generals might seize the machines for themselves, plunging the ancient world into wars of unimaginable destruction. Consider also the impact on culture. Alexander spread Hellenistic ideals, fusing Greek art, science, and philosophy with Eastern traditions. With tanks, the speed and scale of his conquest might erase entire cultures before they could merge. Instead of blending civilizations, he might extinguish them. The world that gave birth to philosophy, mathematics, and literature might vanish beneath steel and fire. And what of the long-term consequences? Imagine tanks preserved, studied, and imitated by ancient engineers. They would not fully understand engines or ballistics, but fragments of knowledge might survive. Perhaps the ancient world leaps centuries ahead. Perhaps industrialization begins in 300 BC, not 1700 AD. Gunpowder, steam power, even electricity might arrive far earlier. The Renaissance, instead of blossoming in the 15th century, could have emerged in the age of Aristotle. Or perhaps the opposite. Perhaps the tanks, once broken, become legends. A golden age of conquest followed by centuries of decline. The world forever haunted by memories of weapons it could never recreate. The deeper truth is this. Technology does not only change battles, it changes destiny. The phalanx gave Greece its victories. The legion gave Rome its empire. Gunpowder toppled castles. Tanks decided modern wars. If Alexander had them, history as we know it would not exist. The timeline of humanity would be unrecognizable. And so we ask the final question. What if Alexander the Great had modern tanks? Would he have built an empire that endured for millennia? Or would he have unleashed destruction so great that civilization itself collapsed before it could truly begin? History is fragile. A single invention, a single weapon, can rewrite the fate of the world. And this "what if" reminds us just how thin the line of destiny really is.